If he wants to, he can smoothly shift the defense and jump out the gym like a madman, just detonating on the defense. Like a Swiss Army knife, he can carve the defense up with bad intentions in many different ways with the handle. And when needed, he can set up shop deep in the distance, load that sniper up, and hit his mark with pure accuracy like a top-ranked shooter. Anthony Edwards brings so many different skill sets to the hardwood that can leave you in amazement, and at 22 years young, to be able to put the pieces together like he has is something you don't see often. From literally anywhere, and I'm talking anywhere on the floor, Edwards can find his way to put the ball in a basket, and this can happen at any time, so the defense must always stay on their P's and Q's. On this play here, you can see Ant ducked off in the opposite corner, so as Devin Vassell is ball watching heavy, once Anderson gets deep in the paint, Edwards slides through the back door and gets the easy robbery without being detected. It's not always a sneaky action that can get him a bucket, as he can get in the mud to get a little dirty, just cutting off Exum and stealing this pass, and when on the break, instead of going up with his high-flying nature, Ant used the deceleration to get Exum on that trampoline, and although it could have been called a travel, the whistle was never called, and it's an easy lay for Edwards. So far in this 2023-24 season, Anthony Edwards is putting up 26 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 5 assists per game, while maintaining shooting splits of 46% from the field and 38% from deep. Now, are these numbers groundbreaking? I wouldn't go as far to say that, but when you pair these numbers with the eye test, that's when you really see how special Anthony Edwards is, and this is just his 4th year in the league. There's honestly so much hype around Edwards simply because the amount of passion he plays with when he's on the floor, and if I'm being honest, you don't see this from a lot of young players in the league nowadays. You can see the constant improvement in Ant's game from year to year, and with him being the leader of this Minnesota Timberwolves team, who are first in the Western Conference, it shows you just how much potential he has and how much value he brings to this team already. Me personally, I can't help but marvel at the amount of precision Ant moves through the lane with, as in real time you might miss it, but when we rewind it back, you can see that once he starts going downhill off the screen, he's cut off by Giddey. So instead of pushing through this gap right here, he changes direction with the through the legs crossover, and now with him in full pursuit, he could continue to go left, but this would put him in a tough position having to go through 2 defenders, so Ant shifts directions once more into this gap between Giddey and Shea, and it's a split through to both of them for a kiss off the glass. Yeah, I know a lot of people were used to Ant being this sole high flyer who could just impress us with his high level of athleticism, but he's matured his game and displays more of a methodical approach to it by breaking down the defenders in the most elegant way possible. Even when you look at his shooting, Ant never seems extremely rushed or out of place, as he can get to the exact spot he desires, so when he comes off this screen, he could rise up for the jumper right away, but with one defender in front of him and Dennis Schroeder trailing him on the right side, the use of the up fake gets Schroeder up in the air, and now with a good look at the rim, it's straight cash from that free throw line area. I mean, let's keep it real, when you get into that flow state, it isn't much the defense can do to really stop you, and when watching Edwards operate on the floor, you can see the comfortability, confidence, and fluidness with every move he makes on the hardwood. There's a multitude of ways Edwards can rein in the buckets on the court, but when we take his slashing abilities and put it under that microscope, this is when we can really see the small details that lead to him being more than an exceptional driver. And some of you may hate me for saying this, but when it's said and done, if he stays on this trajectory, he could go down as one of the best slashers the NBA has ever seen. On 13 drops per game, Ant attempts nearly 7 shots off these for a 50% conversion rate, which ranks him at number 7 in the league amongst all guards who have played at least 20 games and attempted at least 6 shots or more when attacking the basket. Before we dive in, I want you all to tell me your favorite thing about Anthony Edwards' game, and by the end of this video, we will see if it's still the same. Now, as we all already know, Edwards is a supremely gifted athlete who can use his high level of agility to his advantage, so when he bursts past defenders with that quick first step, it leaves defenders completely in the dust while he coasts inside for the bucket. When he's coming up the court, as he starts to slow down, the defense thinks it's the perfect time to creep up high, but this is all a setup for him to blow right past you, and even if you're able to recover for a good contest, Edwards can use his body to keep that gap between you and him on his way to the rim, and use that left hand to finish the bucket. That body control helps him still convert the basket once he gets by the initial defender, so when he flies by Jayshawn Tate in a blur on this drive, when he meets Sengun at the rim, he can stay sturdy through the contact and bank this off the glass. It's something about these two skills that make his driving even more deadly, because with the quickness to blow by his man, it leaves the backline of defense in a vulnerable position, and now they're left standing there trying to contest him, but it results in an and one for Ant-Man. It may look simple, but the task of staying in front of Edwards is probably one of the hardest things a defender will be asked to do on any given night, and when you blend that with his ability to maneuver through the defense with ease, it's truly a testament to how athletically gifted he is. Just like a skilled racer weaving through the traffic, Edwards can slow it down before bursting away from this double team, and when he notices LeBron slid into position for the charge, he seamlessly euros around King James to avoid the offensive foul, and then floats this up high to beat the shot clock. Once Edwards sees those gaps in the defense that he can exploit, it's no issue for him to get there in a quickness, and by the time the defenders can even react, he's already in the air at the basket to rack up 2 points. There's many reasons as to why this is difficult to guard, but if we want to keep it at its simplest nature, when Ant receives the pass and is working out that triple threat, it gives him 3 key options, such as shoot the ball, attack the rim, or pass it away. So in these moments, the defense is very vulnerable as they have to wait and see what he decides to do. And even if the help defender rotates over to stop him at the rim, Ant can stop on the breaks, stay composed through the contact, and the bank is always open if he wants to cash in. A huge reason this is all possible is because Ant is a 38% shooter from deep, so the defense is forced to pick him up high, but this right here is literally the worst position a defender could be put in because wham! With your heels above the line, when Edwards gets his momentum and pushes downhill, there's not much you can do to get back in front of him, and it's just a beautiful English finish at the rim. So as you can see, Ant can get the step on the defender in a split second with his explosiveness, but that's truly just his slashing in the simplest form, as it can honestly get way more complex. When he ties in this explosiveness with his change of direction, that's when you see defenders really have a lot of trouble guarding him, as he makes them look like cones he's just out there running drills on. These shifts are so quick that defenders can't seem to turn their hips fast enough to stay in front of him, and to all of us viewers, it's more than eye-catching when you see Ant cross up a defender on his way to the basket. With the head of steam going at Derrick Jones Jr., when Ant sees Kyrie slide over to take away his angle, he snatches Jones abruptly and goes back the other way, and it doesn't matter if he's surrounded by 3 Mavs defenders, Edwards can still find that slither of space to get this up and in. It's really a high level of creativeness that comes with this when you analyze things, as when he receives this pass curling off the pin down, with Jackson Hayes in the palm of his hands, Ant can angle the drop towards the middle of the floor before going back left, and since he rips through low while Hayes has his hands out, it allows Ant to draw the foul, and with one hand on the gather, it's easy money off the glass. To be able to beat the defense in such a quick manner like this, you have to be able to read what they're giving you and just be 2 steps ahead of them at all times. When curling off another pin down, this float over the top to lead Gobert is a pass that we would love to see Ant make, but instead of that happening, he patiently waits to attack, and then with Hartenstein in front of him, Edwards shifts direction with that mean Euro step and tops it off with the nifty English reverse. These moves are so quick that it honestly shreds defenses night in and night out, and not many have figured out a way to stop this. It all comes down to his handle, timing, and footwork when it comes to these smooth direction changes, and sometimes it might not look like a direction shift, but as we've slowed it down, you can see just how elusive he is when he's angling his drives in different ways to get past the defense. Having this skill is key for Edwards, as he will have many defenders running at him or will be getting baited into traps, so knowing how to reroute your path to the basket to still score is very important. His knack for changing directions on the court throws off defenders completely, but it also seamlessly transitions into his acrobatic layups. Just as he shifts his momentum and direction with precision during these drives to the basket, Edwards showcases a remarkable flair for finishing at the rim in the most acrobatic fashion. Times where Ant attacks the closeout to pursue the rim to then glide past the defender while adjusting in midair shows just how well versed he is around the basket, and other times when he's met in the air by the defense, by floating in the air to finish this stretched out left-handed lay, it just shows you his body control and ability to adapt in midair to still convert the bucket. This ability to contort his body, twist past defenders, and kiss the ball off the glass with finesse is nothing short of breathtaking, and honestly, it's like he's choreographing a high-flying routine right there on the hardwood for us all to enjoy. These acrobatic layups are not only a testament to his athleticism, but also to his creativity in tight situations. Much like the finishing guys such as Kyrie Irving, Edwards dazzles spectators with his ability to finish plays at the rim with a high level of artistry that leaves fans and opponents in a daze. Now, I'm not saying he finishes just as good as Kyrie or just like Kyrie. I'm just saying that his acrobatic ways make a lot of us admire his game and be entertained at the highest level. It's special to see him be so flexible with his finishes, because usually when that's the case, guys will have a harder time converting shots when it comes to crashing inside with defenders, but for Ant, this is no problem at all. Just by not being afraid to initiate contact with opposing players, Ant effectively uses his strength and body control to create separation to then maintain his balance while going go for the bucket. Here on the drive vs OKC, Edwards sizes up Chet, just shifting him left to right, so then when he decides to attack the rack, he can blow by with ease, and although Lou is there waiting, Ant muscles him out the way and finishes this high off the glass for the and one. You have to have a certain amount of strength and great center of gravity to consistently hit defenders and still score the bucket, and with Edwards, you see this on display time and time again. With his 6'4", 6'5" burly frame, he can all out move the defense out his way to go score, and this makes him that much harder to stop when he's attacking the basket. Having all these ways to score the ball inside gives Ant many different options to choose from, as defenses will try every which way to stop him, but honestly, they're gonna have a difficult job doing so. This high level of finishing just demoralizes defenses, as just when they think they have him figured out, well, that's where his shot creation comes in handy and totally gives the defense a run for their money. He may only be connecting on 37% of his 148 attempts from the mid-range right now, which is a poor percentage, but when you watch the games and see the shots Ant is taking, you'll quickly realize why his percentage isn't higher. Edwards tends to opt into very difficult shots in this in-between area, and hey, they make for eye-catching buckets, but they also result in him not being able to knock down as many. After getting AD on that trampoline on this hezzy, Ant crosses through the legs while bursting out to the rim, and once Davis's momentum is going downhill, Ant snatches back with aggression to create space, but even with this gap of room to shoot, look how good Davis still recovers for the contest. These snatchbacks can totally catch the defense off guard as it happens so quick, so when you try to lead him into sticky situations, Ant can pull back on a dime and it's a money ball. These funnels that the defense draws up can be very sneaky, but if you look here, the Lakers are packing the paint so Ant can't push towards the right, so going towards this baseline is his only option, but voila, Prince is there waiting for Rui to send him that way. So with Ant knowing this, directly off the single dribble out the size up, he gets into this pull up, but since Rui was expecting a drive, he's to the side of Ant shading him hard towards that baseline, and he isn't in the greatest position to contest the shot. You must always, and I mean always, have a counter for what the defense throws at you, so you're not left looking clueless, and on times where you can't get all the way to the basket, here's where we can see these spin back fades come in handy. It can all out get crazy when Ant is in his zone on these pulls, because it won't matter if he attracts the attention of 3 Miami Heat defenders, he'll still rise up to drop it in. This amount of versatility in his offensive game adds many layers of complexity to his playstyle, and by fine-tuning his game every season, Ant is starting to look like a chess player who can attack from different angles, keeping opponents constantly strategizing on how they will defend him effectively. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe before heading out. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.